Okay, hi, this is Paul Slackus, Good News Broadcast, in his hometown, Tarrytown, USA, up in Westchester County, and it's a big joy to be here. I'm here with Amy Wesson. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm here with Earl Everett.
Earl Everett Ferguson.
Earl Everett Ferguson, okay. And Earl and Amy, actually, I'm meeting Amy through meeting Amy's husband in the city at an event, and we started to talk about, somehow, I don't know how, Tarrytown. And I was very, very excited to talk, as I always am, in regard to Tarrytown, anything in regard to Tarrytown. However, what we ended up speaking about was that Tarrytown Lakes, which are magnificent here in Tarrytown, need some help. Okay, and because we do the show, The Water Hour, this is going to be sort of a Water Hour special because we're going to follow this to make sure that we keep these lakes clean, and we're going to get this out to the world that we are doing our responsibility to Mother Earth. I'll just say it at this point, care very much about this because when I was a little Cub Scout, Boy Scout, this is the first place I learned about the Mother Nature and about the environment, because we would come down here to the lakes and clean up around the lakes. And I'm sure I was complaining of some sort, but the point is that we did that and we learned about keeping things nice and keeping things clean. We used to catch little tadpoles in here. We would ice skate on the lakes. And when I show you the pictures of lakes, you're going to be amazed. Now, Amy sort of has taken this on as a project because you're new to the community, right?
Yes, well, I've been living here about 15 years, and I've been enjoying these lakes. I walk on the trails and bring my daughter to the ponds, and we've just been loving this area. I found out about 2 years ago that there was something called the Tarrytown Lakes Committee, and they were concerned about the lakes and the fact that they were going into neglect. The issue being is that this Eastview pump house, which used to actually pump water for the village to drink, this was 100 years
I'm a product of the drinking. Look how good I look. Look at his skin. My skin is so clear and crisp and clean because I grew up on this water. Yes.
At the end of the 1980s, they shut the pump house down because money needed to be put into it to bring it up to speed. And a decision was made to purchase water from New York City, from the aqueduct. And so we hooked up to the New York City water supply, and the pump house shut down, and then the lakes, because they were not being used for drinking water, fell into neglect. That's the short version.
All right, we have the short version. We're still in the camera, right? My eyes are not so good, but the rest is a question mark too. But in any case, all right. Now, Earl is actually an architect. Do I have that right?
Yes, I'm a local architect, and I have the.
I think the mayor is coming here now.
That's the village water engineer.
The village water engineer is coming here now. Wow, we're gonna have
We're busted.
All right, is Earl in the frame here? It's a little hard for me to see. Move over a little bit, Earl.
Yes.
Maybe in front of the pictures. Yeah. Okay, Earl, tell us about.
I'm a local architect, and I'm benefiting greatly from this experience working with the Lakes Committee on this very exciting project. It will hopefully do three things. It will help support the preservation of the lakes and all the surrounding environment. If we can rehabilitate the building and make it a public use, and the things that we're thinking about that the Lakes Committee worked with us on for the proposed use of the building is a trailhead for a place to stop and rest for hikers and bikers, maybe a place to get a snack while they've stopped, and also an environmental center, a nature center. It would have an educational component to it where the kids can come and seine things out of the lakes and put them under a microscope. But also perhaps a permanent exhibit of the history of the building itself, could be there, as well as art galleries and
Right, and multi-purpose use.
multi-purpose use for meetings.
It's a big building.
And even you could have a wedding here, perhaps.
Right.
Okay.
So these drawings, I don't know if you want to look at them.
Well, we don't have to. We'll look at. We're gonna put the image over us right now.
Okay.
And so your concept is. I see here. Well, tell us your concept. Basically, you see a nature center.
Yes, we would hope to restore the building, preserve the building, as well as create a sustainable designed building. So you would have historic preservation and a good example of green architecture while you're doing it, and at the same time add some space to the building that would accommodate the special events part of it. So that would be rendered similar to this, the idea being that it would be a preservation project for the building. And that's the hope, anyway.
Okay, it sounds very good, and we'll show these pictures. I think that this all a little bit started upon, as you said, Amy. Maybe you should stand in the middle here. Make sure. We can see each other right here, and you can see each other in the monitor, right? And we're all in there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes, we're
all
all
right.
there.
It's the water pump that's the initial concern, right? And the deterioration of this
Deterioration
of
of
this
the building.
I mean, phase one is to mothball the building so that way the roof is secure. Right now, it's got considerable water damage going on. So we're sealing the building, preserving it, and then we will be fundraising to take it to the next level. Is what's.
You guys got a website yet on this?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. So we're working at it. So well, obviously there's concerned citizens here, and I'm very glad about that because it's a gorgeous enhancement. Plus, it was drinking water, and the fact of the matter is that drinking water is a big question mark. We do a show called, and we're doing this with Pete Seeger, who termed it from the Clearwater, water not weapons, and so water is gold, and is only becoming more so gold. And it's not so easy to clean the Hudson River so we can drink from there. So
one thing that we should say is that the primary part of this project is not to restore it as a drinking water source necessarily, but to make it so that it could act as a backup source, just in case the primary source fails for some reason.
I think it's similar. I guess I have to. I'm not 100% sure, but the reservoir, and Jackie Onassis, they named it after up in the city in Manhattan, is a backup source also for I think New York. But maybe not a major one because there's a lot of people to drink there. But
well, apparently, when this was functioning, it had the capacity to pump 1 million gallons of water per day. There were 800,000 gallons that were actually used per day when it was actually functioning. Mm-hmm. Right now, that would not be enough water for the village because it's expanded. We've a much larger population. Mm-hmm. So it would supplement the existing water supply, which would be great to have that.
Sure.
And we're hoping to get some recreation back on the lakes. A part of the concept is to create a boathouse where you could have canoes and kayaks and such.
Yeah, I believe I've taken a canoe on this at some point. But yes or no, I don't know. That was a little. They wondered about that at one point. Whether I don't remember actually whether I know I ice skated on here.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we still have ice skating.
You still have ice skating? Okay.
Yes, when it's cold enough.
When it's cold enough. You're the engineer of the town of Tarrytown?
The village of Tarrytown, yes I am.
Village of Tarrytown. Engineer, okay. So we're here now inside the pump house.
Correct.
And we see a lot of rust, and we see a lot of, I guess, old age, but look at that. The ceiling must be 50, 60 feet. Mm-hmm. How large is this building? I wonder how large this building is.
I would say this building is approximately about 5,000, 6,000 square feet altogether.
Wow, Zow. Look at all these signs. These are like, that's Prospect Avenue. All right, so there's a ton of stuff in here. And what we're looking to do, or what I'm up here to find out about, is maybe we can restore this place, and maybe we can get the lakes from being murky and mucky to being clean and pristine, no matter what they're used for. Actually, we used to catch fish in here, now that I recollect.
They still catch fish in here. They still
catch
allow fishing during fishing season, absolutely.
Okay.
All of our local residents are encouraged to come up here and fish.
Okay, good. And they still ice skate here?
Absolutely. During the wintertime, weather conditions, if they allow, if the ice does get thick enough, they do allow ice skating during the wintertime, absolutely.
Okay, so those are two good. And of course, there's all this kind of trails around here as well, and it's a gorgeous, most beautiful, beautiful spot.
Yes,
so,
it is.
though the water, just like my little goldfish tank, if I don't have a pump in there, recirculating the water, it gets murky, and everybody yelling at me and saying, "You got to clean that fish tank for the poor goldfish." The lakes would probably have the same effect, right? If you don't, pump the water, recirculate the water, it probably has probably some unhealthy concerns.
If the water doesn't if it becomes stagnant, the water becomes stagnant, starts to lose a lot of its oxygen, and then the water starts to, or the pond or the reservoir starts to what they call die off. Starts to get a lot of algae growth. It starts to get a lot of aquatic plant life in there that's not very conducive to for the fish life that exists in the reservoir, and everything starts to get choked, it starts to get cloudy, it starts to get murky, and it doesn't look that nice. It doesn't look as clean as pristine as it used to 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
When not long ago we drank from this water.
That's correct. This pump station actually used to. These are the pumps that would pump the water to the village of Tarrytown. In the other room over there is a filter system. Sand filters, that water we pulled in through the sand filters, that would actually purify some of the water coming in here to the pumps, and these pumps would pump the water throughout the village.
Real sand? I mean, they use sand?
It's real sand filters, absolutely.
Oh my
And
God.
they have to be cleaned every so often, backwashed and cleaned, but it was actually sand filters.
This project really is an education of what we have done to purify our water to hopefully what we can do in the future. Because I believe, some of the new technologies and new science has made maybe not such a large water pump and so on. So we need to figure out how as a town to be able to move, if there's a desire of the town, I guess, because it's a town, there's always politics and people have opinions of what should be done and what shouldn't be done. But actually we're here not to talk about that. We're here to see if we can do it, at least to make decisions about renovating, I guess, because it probably is a healthier way for the community.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great old building. The village board did commission a local architect, Earl Ferguson, to come down here and give us some of his insights and visions of what this building could be, along with some of the members of the Lakes Committee and the restoration of this building committee, to see what. Instead of it just sitting here dormant and being an eyesore, let's take it, let's restore it, and let's make it a youthful and habitable spot.
I'm with Drew Fixell. Hi, Drew. How are you?
How are you?
Okay, good. Drew is the mayor of Tarrytown.
That's correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
And what brought you to that kind of a job?
Well, I was involved locally in a number of issues. First, actually, with the school district, and then I got involved on the waterfront with a proposal to put a concrete crushing plant down by the waterfront, which didn't seem like a great idea. And together with a number of other people, we fought it, and then we became involved after that, and won, stopped that concrete crushing plant. And then I got involved with the waterfront advisory committee and doing plans for the waterfront, and then eventually I ran for trustee in 2000 and got elected, and I was on the board for 5 years, and then ran for mayor and won.
Okay, congratulations to you. Okay, so water is an important subject for you.
It certainly is.
All right, so and we're here to talk about water. This is actually going to be a special on the Water Hour TV program that we have been producing, and the interest here is that we have beautiful lakes.
Yep.
And that there's some concern with the lakes about its recycling of itself. The water pump, we were inside already and saw that there's a lot of deterioration.
Of this building. Well, this building hasn't been used for some 25, 30 years. It's 30 years now. So there hasn't been water used. The water hasn't been used for drinking from these lakes for 30 years. So the pump house has been left untouched, essentially, I guess, for 30 years.
Right, it's a long time, and actually, I guess I grew up drinking this water. My mother
you
grew
did.
up, my grandfather did,
Right.
and everybody.
Actually, I think you grew up drinking some of the water, because I don't think Tarrytown's water supply has ever been fully, or at least in recent years before it closed, had not been fully from this supply. There was supplemental supply
From upstate, probably
I
from
think
the,
so, yeah.
the
Which now
Kensico.
now it's all from upstate. It's all-
Okay, and it's great water,
Right.
and it's super
Right.
water.
Right.
But in the world of water, and now with the realities of water and water concerns and the lack of water, we're involved with water, not weapons even, project with Pete Seeger is termed. And so water is dear to our heart. And,
Sure is.
and so to have actually even a backup water supply probably is becoming more and more important.
Valuable. Yes, it's one of the things we're considering is whether or not this could be set up to once again be a backup supply. But it is a very expensive proposition to do that. But we certainly would like to get the water cleaner than it is. It's not polluted, but it has a lot of weeds and algae, and there's a lot of runoff from the surrounding homes and the roads that gets in the water and causes the algae to bloom. So that's one of the big concerns. It's always a struggle to keep the weeds and algae down.
Actually, I guess on one point, as far as it being, we have the Rockefeller State joining it, right? So, in essence, it has stayed pretty clean. I guess over the
right.
over the years.
I think it's clean in one sense. It's not polluted in sort of your traditional toxic chemicals, but it gets a lot of fertilizer runoff and probably salt runoff from the roads that are around. But from there's no known sources of toxic pollutions of PCBs or that kind of thing. So in that way, if you can get the algae and the suspended particles out of it, you could drink it again.
Okay. So, and a new water pump could help to do that.
Well, you'd have to have
And
a whole station.
rebuilding.
Right. You'd have to have a whole. You still have to have a water treatment plant. So you'd have to put in a new treatment facility which would clean the water. It's not clean enough to drink directly, no matter what. So you'd have to get new pumping facilities and new filtration facilities as well. And so that's one of the options we're going to look at, is whether or not that makes sense and how much that might cost. And with today's technology, which apparently is a lot better, smaller, and presumably less expensive than it was in the past. I think the village, not when I was mayor, many years before, they looked at reopening it and they made a financial decision that it just wasn't worth it, that it made more sense to purchase water from New York City than to spend what I believe was millions of dollars to bring the plant back online, that the cost of doing that was greater than the value of the water we would get from it. Because it is a limited source. It's about 800,000 gallons a day that they used to take out of here. So that's it would depend on what's out there, what it costs, how you do it, and how you would get the system back into operation, whether it would still make sense to bring it back as a water supply. In any case, we do want to make it cleaner and more sustainable. We don't want to lose it to algae, which could happen.
Okay, and then the building, if the building did house the new equipment, the potential of this very large building could be used maybe multifunctional as well.
That's the thought. The preliminary work that's been done suggests that a small portion of it would be needed for water filtration, and there would be still a lot of extra room for other potential uses. But it's a big job. There's no question.
It's a big job.
A big and
Okay.
expensive job to do. So what we're looking to do, hopefully, is to at least stabilize the building and stop the deterioration that's been taking place over the last 30 years. So we'll really look seriously at that first step to get that, so we don't lose it completely. It's a beautiful building.
It's gorgeous.
It's a great
yeah.
resource in some fashion, and it may not be the time right now and we may not be able to find the money that it would take to really bring it back, but we hopefully could find the funds to stabilize it.
Okay, well, I know you have made an outreach to get some design,
Right.
And
Right.
we've spoke with your architect here,
Right.
And so I guess numbers will start to come out.
Yep.
And once you have the numbers, then there'll be some evaluation of it.
Right.
I guess we're here because we love Tarrytown,
Right.
and it is by far a beauty of Tarrytown.
It certainly is a great
tremendous
resource.
enhancement
Yep.
to the town, and because water needs to be, water is for caring, water is for sharing.
Yeah,
we have a bunch of songs like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's it would be a shame. It's a shame to lose this resource. It would be ridiculous, and certainly it already is used now. I mean, clearly, lots of people come to the lakes and take advantage of it, but there's a lot more that could be done. But it looks like it's going to be very expensive to bring the building back to real use. So we will seek funds. In the current financial climate within the village, it's not likely to go full bore and really bring the building back. But if we could use the information we get to seek funds elsewhere to maybe get some partners out there, maybe there's something that could be done.
Yeah, maybe we make it part of the stimulus.
Right. I think we're too late, actually, unfortunately.
You never know. There'll probably be another one in a couple
Right.
weeks.
Well,
So,
now, actually, what's interesting, I actually thought of that, is that had we been doing this work before, particularly the water, restoring the
'cause
the water supply part, it might have been something that the stimulus package would have gone for. But they wanted stuff that was ready to go within a very short period of time. So clearly, that kind of work hasn't been done yet. So you couldn't apply under the rules that they had for stimulus money. But there's always other programs. Water is always an issue. Secure water supplies, backup water supplies. So when we get that kind of information, we'll go hunting for money.